All right. Hello, everyone. Gary Ryan here with you for today's Fed League Flash. This is the weekend wrap up, but this is going to be somewhat truncated and abbreviated due to a couple things. First of all, I was not able to watch like the first half of many of the games because um, I was out with my family. And so I I had to rely on the stats. Not too confident with doing that, but nonetheless, I checked things out and verified stats. But a much more serious topic has come up, which we will talk about in the end. All right, but I'm also going to be referring to a problem that has developed in the league. It's really throughout all of hockey. It's not just the Fed. But the last couple of weeks has been very ugly in the Fed in a lot of games. So, want to deal with this. All right, first game last night was probably one of the better games last night. Amazing comeback by the Port Huron Prowlers. They win 5-4. And I'm on the wrong page here in my notes. Game started off all Motor City. Actually, the game started off with an unfortunate event, and this is this is an incident that is going to lead up to our later topic. 8 seconds in, Elias Thompson decides to jump Tucker Scantlebury. Should have been an aggressor and major and ejection. It was just 5 for fighting. We're going to get into this more. All right, but as far as the rest of the game, the complexion of this game really changed. You had Port Huron scoring first, and then 4 goals in a row by Motor City. By the time you got to the end of the second period, it was 4-1 Motor City, but Babin has been dealing with a nagging lower body injury since the game in Danbury. And it just got to him to the point where he could not continue. So in the third period, Ricardo Gonzalez comes in to relieve him, and Port Huron turns on the Jets. Now, Rockers fans, before you put the blame on Gonzalez for this, remember, Gonzalez played the night before, and he was cold. He wasn't expecting to be playing and was pressed into action. That's very hard for a goaltender to do. All right, so, yeah, we had goals by Alex Johnson and a couple by Matt Graham, and Dalton J even scored. So, yeah, comeback is completed. Port Huron sweeps for the night, or for the weekend, and they are now 7-6-2. They have moved up into third place in the Continental Division. Motor City falls to 9-4-3. 28 points, trying to figure out how to right the ship. All good teams go through cold streaks. It happens. All right, so we go on from there. Next game, Binghamton got their hats handed to them by the Colorado. Wow, I almost said the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, they would get their hats handed to them by them. But anyway, by the Carolina Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds, 4 quick goals in 10 minutes 30 seconds, which chase Sam Levecchi. Binghamton scores a couple, but then 3 goals in 30 seconds by Carolina, and that was it. The frustrations start to mount, and Binghamton goons it up. We have Matthew Boillard with just an inexcusable assault. We had later in the game, very late, we had Justin Samaro slew-footing Panicek. We had Gavin Yates dancing around for an opportunity to get in a kidney punch. Just ridiculous stuff. Inexcusable stuff. All right. Again, this is our topic coming up. So it's 8-3 Carolina, and a couple goals by Salak, a couple goals by Kennedy. And and so Carolina gets the split for the weekend. They are now 12-3-0, which is good for 32 points. Binghamton 12-2-3 for 38. They're still in first place in the Empire. All right. Next game, Watertown traveling up to Danbury, and Watertown gets a hat trick from Carter Thornton, which, wow. In response, Danbury, Corey Cunningham, he's been a very nice find. He just joined the team like 3 weeks ago, and he had 2 goals in regulation, and then neither team could solve things in overtime, so they go to a shootout, and Cunningham scores basically the game-winning goal. So Danbury ends up with a 4-3 victory, gaining 2 points. Tons of shots. Owen Liskovitz, after his poor outing Friday night, he turned it around, and he played phenomenally in goal for Watertown, stopping 55 of 58 shots. For Watertown, again, it's just a one-dimensional thing. Tate Leeson will be back next weekend. So, the scar on this game was at the 18-17 mark of the second period. Everybody decided to square off and just go at it. 3 pairs of fighting majors are awarded, and that was the end. Unfortunately, there were no penalties the rest of the game. All right, so Watertown is now 6-6-1, 18 points. Danbury improves to 8-7-2, which is 24 points. So just a tiny bit of separation between Danbury and Watertown in the standings. All right, going to skip what was going to be the next game. We're going to go back to that. Okay, Blue Ridge ends up with an overtime victory in Baton Rouge. Smirnoff with 2 goals, including the game winner, with about 24 seconds left in the overtime frame. So, yeah, Slava Smirnov ends up getting Blue Ridge the win. Nothing happened last night, really. There was one fight, but that was, yeah. Who did he take on? It was Bazar. I didn't write it down. It was Bazarin and anyway, just a normal fight. Nothing of any substantiation. But of course, the day before there was the incident with Soterios Karageorgios repeatedly cross-checking Jakob Wolf, who had to be helped off the ice yesterday. Now, fortunately, Wolf was healthy enough to return to play last night and had himself a goal. But again, another inexcusable thing that happened, and should have been a suspension coming out of that. There wasn't. And again, we're going to deal with that. But now these two teams are tied with points, 12 each. Now, technically, Baton Rouge has the edge in the tiebreaker because they have 3 regulation wins as opposed to 2 for Blue Ridge Bobcats. So it's going to be very interesting from here on out to see who can gain a foothold and climb up the standings in the Continental Division. Finally, the game that I know a lot of people are talking about. And I want to spend a little bit of time addressing this and then transitioning into our next topic. It was all Columbus, 8-1. This game was suspended at the 3:38 mark of the third period after Justin Barr ended up boarding Nathan Balkwell, and a very ugly, disturbing situation in which Balkwell needed to be rushed to the hospital. Players from both teams responded very well. They joined together. They all prayed. They all agreed. The game's done. Let's just make it a final and be done with it. Nathan Balkwell is doing okay. He is responsive and talking, and he has a good long-range prognosis. Now, on the hit that I'm talking about, it did not appear to be an intentional thing, just a bad judgment by Barr. I mean, he took 30 feet to come in to make the hit, which the hit itself was not dirty per se. It was just on the numbers. You can't do that. But Barr issued an apology and expressed his well wishes for Balkwell. So, and that was the ugly incident, and so that transitions us into our next subject. With the game, Alex Jemayev and Ryan Hunter both had hat tricks. Hunter ended up with an assist as well, so very nice night for the two of them. So that was the action from last night. Oh yeah. So Columbus now with the league's best record at 11-1-2. Mississippi falls to 7-8-1. With everything that's been going on, this was not cued solely based on the Justin Barr hit. This was something that I and a couple of other people discussed to great lengths. There's a real problem with player safety and just a concern for the players on the ice, for the players in the other color jersey. And it's been a trend that I've seen over the last 3 weeks. Obviously, we've been talking about player safety a lot this year in lieu of the unfortunate incident overseas with Adam Johnson. But it unfortunately seems to be something that's become rather problematic. Again, not just in the Fed. We see some things happening in the SP, uh, even even some questionable stuff in the NHL, and it just seems like there's a real problem with players abiding to the code. When I talk about the code, I talk about it's an unwritten, unspoken agreement that the players have as far as how they are going to conduct themselves on ice, how they're going to um, treat their teammates, the officials, and the players on the other side. Um, and it seems like that code, the etchings have been kind of fading. Um, and it's a real concern. So it's something that we're going to spend some time talking about. On Thursday, I'm going to be a guest of Bob Howard, who does the Power Play Post Show. That is kind of the grandfather of all hockey related podcasts. He was doing podcasts when nobody else was doing it. Started back in 2004. But anyway, we're going to be talking about player safety. Now, he covers the Binghamton Black Bears and minor league hockey in Binghamton. He has for years. But as he and I have discussed things, we both agree that there's a real problem, a real issue going on as far as player safety and um, how leagues and their officials are dealing with it and addressing it. I think there's some real bad deficiencies there. So, I mean, you talk about, like, for example, the Kara action on Wolf. No supplemental discipline. It deserved the suspension. Um, if you're a Baton Rouge fan and you don't like that, I'm sorry, but it deserved the suspension. Um, Elias Thompson's actions last night deserves a suspension. Um, 1 game, but a signal needs to be sent out. And the players need to understand that they need to be a lot more careful and a lot more respectful of the players in the other color jersey. It's a problem. So Thursday, Power Play Post Show will be up on Spotify. It's on Google. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on iHeart. So Thursday, it's a conversation that we need to have. Something I would highly recommend that you listen to, not because it's me being involved, but it's because it's something that more um, more attention needs to be given to. So, search for Power Play Post Show on whatever your favorite platform is to listen to podcasts. Give it a listen. We're going to be having a very serious discussion. Again, one that is most needed at this moment. All right, so that is it for me. That is it for the Fed League Flash for today. Tomorrow, I will post stars and standings. We'll have ourselves a much more normal Fed League Flash, but I wanted to address some of the things that we've been talking about here today. All right, I'm Gary Ryan. You have yourself a wonderful week. We will catch you again tomorrow here on YouTube.